Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Mordian Glory video. Today we will be going through what I sort of called the big FAQ 3, but it is the April 2019 update to the Warhammer 40k 8th edition. The designer's commentary, if you will. Now I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm going into this a bit blind, but so what you will get is my sort of genuine reaction to things, genuine sort of understanding of what is contained within this document. Now what I'm going to do in today's video is I'm going to go through, if there's time, the plan is to go through the Warhammer 40k update and to also go through the rulebook updates, and then I will do some other videos as well on the Imperial Guard FAQ changes and the Gene Stealer Cult FAQ changes. I'll probably keep those two videos separate, but we'll see. So today, let's go through the Warhammer 40,000 update April 2019. So starts off with essentially a little bit of explanation about what the document is. It's they've been, Games Workshop has been doing lots and lots of sort of gathering feedback from the community, face to face and online through Facebook and the FAQ email, and this is essentially an update to the FAQ. Then, okay. So this isn't big FAQ number 3. This is an update to the last FAQ. So just having a look through. These updates include some changes to the core 40k rules, some further clarifications how certain rules work. The most all changes and clarification are the first things detailed in this document. Next we have looked at beta rules introduced in the last update, and after making some changes to incorporate your feedback, have finalised those rules. So these beta rules, I believe, have been updated and are now official. So bear that in mind. So that's it. So it's an update. So core rule changes and clarifications. The first thing that they talk about is wobbly models. We've had several questions asking for clarity about how exactly the wobbly model syndrome should be used to place models in counts locations. We are a bit surprised by these questions. Well, let me just say before I continue, and I haven't read the answer, I am not surprised by these questions because the amount of times I have had people try and pull a wobbly model syndrome trick on me, and to be fair, that I don't think they're doing anything wrong, it just wasn't clear. I've had people say, well, this jet bike is halfway up this building. It's literally, it is stopped halfway up the building because it's a jet bike. It's the fly key where it ignores level, so it can stop at any point. Never mind, the building is a sheer wall and there's no place for its base to go. It's halfway up. Because that is wobbly model. So there we go. So let's see what they said. To be clear, our intent for wobbly model syndrome was that should it serve only as a hint or tip to prevent models from getting damaged, should they be placed in a location where they would be in danger of falling over if the table would be accidentally nudged during play. It does not intended to be a rule that enables you to place model in a position where it could not otherwise physically be placed. Excellent! Excellent. So no longer can people say it's halfway up a fucking building, sheer-sided building, which has got, a little, because Games Workshop training, a little nubbin sticking out. Excellent. So that's a very good update, that is. It means now that if you can defend a floor, it is difficult for someone to, in a building, it can be difficult for someone to root you out. They've got to blast you out and then try and assault afterwards. They can't just come in at you. Interesting. The edge of the battlefield. It's come to our attention that there's nothing in the rules that technically prevents a model from moving off the edge of a battlefield. As all good wargamers know, the edge of the battle is centered to the edge of the universe when it comes to the battle at hand. To correct this oversight, we're adding the following. Okay. I think that one's a bit silly. But no part of a model or its base can be set up or moved over the edge of a battlefield. I kind of get that. I'm surprised people were taking the piss with it. I tell you what I am a bit surprised about, though. It's flyers. It should really be done to the base of the model, not any part of the model. Because obviously think about how big the wingspan of a Valkyrie is. I'm sure we've all done this. We like to put our Valkyries in a corner, and the whole base is on the table. Interesting. I mean, it's not a huge change. All I can say is fuck you to the guys that were abusing that, because you've kind of made it everything slightly more awkward for the rest of us. Disembarking from destroyed transports. Okay. Interesting. It turns out that there's nothing in the core rules that prevent a unit that has been forced to disembark from its transport because it was destroyed as the result of Overwatch attack from immediately declaring a charge, provided that the rolls to see what the models were destroyed weren't totally disaster. That is, okay, as long as you don't roll all ones. This was never the intent, and some players have been exploiting this oversight and declaring charge against every possible unit in order to get their own transports destroyed, so they can disembark their elite and very choppy units a few inches closer to the enemy to secure a vital charge. You imagine the units inside almost certainly have other things to contend with, like crawling out of the flaming wreckage of their former transport. To correct this, we're adding the following... Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the rule is... Units can't declare a charge during the same turn that they disembarked from a destroyed transport. Okay. Okay, you know what? I actually don't like this, and I know that's going to surprise some of you. But it has been, look, every FAQ that comes out, it does seem like, and I know that this FAQ is, I know there's another rule that I'm about to talk about, but it does seem like there is a tendency for close combat armies to receive more nerfs than shooting armies. It does tend to be that. And when 8th edition first dropped, assault armies were truly viable again. Now that doesn't seem to be the case. And it has been a traditional Warhammer 40k tactic for a long time, the exploding rhino tactic for berserkers. I mean, I personally never exploit it, but I'm not ever against the nerf to, well, especially not the current meta, to assault army. So a bit of a strange one there, but it's not a huge change. Moving units that can fly in the charge phase. This is one that I was aware of before reading this. So this is interesting. So basically, guys, the change used to be that originally models with the fly keyword ignored all levels, all terrain, everything, and they could jump over units. They could, if you had a screen, you could jump over the screen and charge the unit behind within your charge phase. They got rid of that in the last FAQ. They've now essentially brought it back to the halfway point. So, if you have the fly keyword, I'll read it out. Change the second paragraph to read, if the datasheet for a model says it can fly, then during the movement phase it can move across models if they were not there, and moving across terrain features the vertical distance is not counted against the total it can move, i.e. moving vertically is free for this model in the movement phase. If the datasheet for a model says it can fly, then during the charge phase it can move across models other than buildings as if they were not there. So, essentially, guys, you can now move over units and you can charge over units, but you cannot charge over terrain or buildings. That's it. So it's halfway between the two. It used to be that fly let you do anything, then it was that fly pretty much only worked in the movement phase, and now it's been brought back to the middle where fly works in the movement phase, but also to a limited extent in the charge phase. Now this is very important for us guard players because it now means you are going to need at least a double screen, guys, because there's no point in just having one guard screen now, because someone will just charge over it and get to the juicy units behind. That's something to be very much aware of as Imperial Guard players. I think Harlequins got the rule as well via flip belts, very good, and so did Necrons. And so did Death Watch. Necron Mars 3 can also join the movement phase. Necron one's a bit different. Oh, okay. So Wraiths can shoot and charge even if they fell back, and they also get the new, you can charge through models but not through buildings and shit. Okay, cool. You know, to be fair, I think the only ones that should have it is Wraiths. Because Wraiths just go, you know, they phase in and out. But anyway. Deathwatch can do it. Very good. It's all fine, yeah. So that's essentially it, guys. People can now charge over screens. That's what you need to be aware of. Aircraft. Now this is another nerf that I was aware... Well, not nerf, another change that I was aware of that I am very much in favour of. Okay, it's basically... What was happening, the way that it's changed is what was happening, guys, is people were using... Because in the rules you can't move over an enemy model's base. You know, if you're an orc boy, you can't charge over an enemy model's base because... You know, you have to attack the models. You know, you have to stop at the enemy models that you're attacking. But what if you can't attack a flyer? Flyers, for example, have a base, and it can be used. And basically, flyers were being used to block off charges from ground-based units. You can't do that anymore. So listen to this: if a unit can fly and it has a minimum move characteristic, or if it has damage table on its data sheet that includes any minimum move characteristic, that unit gains the aircraft keyword. Whenever a model makes any kind of move, it can be moved within 1 inch of an enemy aircraft, and it can be moved across such models and their bases if they were not there, but cannot end the move on top of another model or its base, and it cannot end the move within 1 inch of any enemy units. If when the unit is selected to move in the movement phase, the only enemy units that are within 1 inch of it are aircraft, then it can still make a move. I.e., it does not have to fall back in order to move. So essentially, guys, flyers aren't skimming along the ground. Okay, flyers aren't doing that. Flyers are high in the sky, coming down, doing a strafing, and flying back up again. So now you can essentially charge through flyers, even if you're a guardsman. You can charge through flyers. Very good for Gene Stealer Cult players. Very, very good indeed. Flyers will no longer block things off. That is a big nerf to things like. Well, not a big nerf, but it's a bit of a nerf to 6 Eldar flyer spam. Okay. This is one I haven't seen. Resetting up models. There are several ability strategies and Saga powers that let players move a unit from the battlefield and then set it back up in a different location, but these rules are causing some confusion. The confusion is partly because it is not clear whether or not the effects that applied to the unit before it was removed from the battlefield continue to apply when it's set back up, and also because the wording of this rule is sometimes written as these units being set up as if they are reinforcements, even though they are technically on the battlefield already. The intent of the as if they were reinforcements wording was trying to make it clear that the unit has accounted as moving for the purposes of moving and firing heavy weapons, and that they can't move further again this turn, other than to charge from pile in or consolidate. After all, these units have potentially been displaced across the entire length of the battlefield already. This wording was also used to try and make it clear that such units would trigger other abilities or stratagems such as auto-spec scans and early warning overrides, that they are used when a unit is set up on the battlefield as reinforcements. Our feeling was that it shouldn't make a difference as to whether the unit teleported onto the battlefield from an auto spacecraft or from over the next hill. To clarify how these abilities, stratagems, and powers work, we're adding the following FAQ to the 140k rule point, which is reprinted here for convenience. What rules apply to units that are removed from the battlefield? 1. Any rules that are triggered by or applied to units that are set up on the battlefield as reinforcements are also triggered by and applied to units that were set up. So, all-spec scan or perfect ambush. Yep. Models in that unit can't having moved equal to their move characteristic that turn. If the minimum move, it has moved the maximum move characteristic. Okay. Models in that unit cannot move again for any reason other than to make a charge move, to pile in, or to consolidate. Obviously, in terms of Gene Stealer Cult, you have the stratagem that gets past that. If a unit is set up with a 1 inch of enemy unit when it was removed, it does not count as having fallen back. Very interesting. So basically, if you wrap, it was already being played like this, but if you wrap a unit and then it sort of gates of infinities out of there, or warp jumps out of there, or whatever, it doesn't count as falling back. So that everyone was playing it like that anyway, but now it's been clarified. If that unit has advanced during this turn, it still counts as having advanced. Any destroyed models in that unit when removed are still destroyed. Any models in that unit have lost any wounds do not regain the wounds. Yeah, because people were being dicks and trying to argue like, oh, well, I only had like, I lost two Terminators, 2 Paladins in my 3 Paladin squad, but if I get him Infinity, I get 2 back because the unit gets... No, don't be a dick. Okay, obviously not. And then there's a point about it doesn't matter because if you're playing sustained assault, but that's a bloody now to play things. I'm not bothered about that. Note that the points 5 to 8 do not apply to units advised sustained. Any unit that has been added to your army during the battle and has been set up, such as those added via demonic ritual. All units set up via the following stratagems, blah blah blah. Right, so interesting. So rules 5 to 8. Ooh, hello. Rules 5 to 8 do not apply to any that has been added during the battle that has been set up, such as those added via demonic ritual. Okay. If that unit has advanced during this turn, it still counts having advanced. Fine. Any destroyed models of that unit, fine. Any models of the unit that have lost wounds, fine. Okay, no, that's fine. No, I thought I missed one. I thought it was like it could move again. No, that's fine. All good. Organised events, repeated data sheet clarification. Basically, guys, if you've got 3 demon princes in the Space Marine Codex, 3 demon princes in the Death Guard Codex, and 3 demon princes in the Thousand Suns Codex, can you take 9 demon princes? No, you can't. Whether it's a demon prince of Codex Care Space Marine or Death Guard Demon Prince or a Thousand Suns Demon Prince, it doesn't matter. You can only have 3 Demon Princes. Period. End of. Now, where this affects the Imperial Guard is, are the Heavy Weapons Squad's data sheet from Codex Astra Militarum, Death Corps from Death Corps Heavy Weapons Squads, Elysian Heavy Weapons Squads, Renegade Heavy Weapons Squads considered to be different? No. So now, guys, it doesn't matter if you have a Death Corps battalion and a Codex battalion. It doesn't matter. You can only take 3 heavy weapon teams no matter what. And also, it's the Cult Liam and Rust data. It's the Cult Liam and Rust data sheet from Codex Use of the Cult and the Liam and Rust data sheet from Codex Actual Time considered to be different data sheets for the purpose of organised events. What about Scout Sentinels, Armoured Sentinels? Oh, interesting. Brood Brother Infantry Squad. Oh, that doesn't matter because they're Brood Brother Heavy Weapon Squads, though. Right. Interesting. So the Liam and Russ one isn't a huge problem because you can squadron Liam Russes anyway. Same with Sentinel Scouts. It's a bit of a shame because it was kind of like the Cult. You could use the Cult to take loads and loads of Sentinels, which weren't that powerful anyway. Brood Brother Infantry Squads and regular Infantry Squads, well, they aren't affected by that anyway because troops aren't affected by the rule of 3. The interesting one is Brood Brother Heavy Weapon Squads, and the reason why is because Brood Brother Heavy Weapon Squads are categorically worse because you have to pay 7 points per mortar instead of 5 points per mortar. So, never take Brood Brother ones anymore, I guess. Well, in the case of Demon Princes and Brood Brother Heavy Weapon Squads, both Chaos and Jesus Local armies have access to rules which they can add units to their army in the battlefield, e.g. Demonic Ritual and Telepathic Summons. As is the case of any unit that is added to your army during the battle, the restrictions listed in Organised Event Guidelines of how many times the same date you include your army do not apply to units added to your army during the battle. This means that if your collection includes, for example, more than 3 Demon Princes, you can still use them all in your game, but you'll have to summon the 4th and subsequent ones in. Nice. I like that clarification. That's good. Right. So, finalised matched play rules. Bolter Discipline. Bolter Discipline was in. I actually think Bolter Discipline is absolutely fine the way it is, but let's see why they've changed it. Bolter Discipline was introduced as a beta in the February issue of White Dwarf. We've received a lot of feedback about this rule. It's clear that the original wording has led to some unintended consequences. Whilst it has helped bolster the rank and file bolt gun wielding Space Marines or Care Space Marines, made certain vehicles, notably those Hurricane Bolters, much better than anticipated. For this reason, we've decided to amend the rule so as to essentially exclude vehicles, with the exception of Dreadnoughts and Hellbrutes. Whilst technically vehicles, we feel these units wage war in a manner close to the flesh and blood battle brothers of their chapters. Okay, that's kind of annoying. So, yeah, that's sad. Basically, vehicles no longer benefit from Bolter Discipline. So, you're like, who gives a fuck if Hurricane Bolters was suddenly good? Space Marines, as a whole, are mid-tier at best. Like, yeah, I don't think they should have changed it. I think they should have left it. And I'm not. I just to clarify. I only own one Land Raider Crusader. Before anyone goes, "Oh, you're just saying it gives you a Black Templar." No, I only own one Land Raider Crusader, and I don't use it that much because I use my, pure infantry Black Templars. So this isn't affecting me. But people go, "Oh, what about Dark Talons?" The Dark Angels suddenly get. Yeah, well, Dark Talons fine. Dark Talons are expensive. They should be able to put out a lot of firepower. It's a bit of a shame they don't get to do it now. I think that was a mistake. I'm absolutely fine with getting hosed down by Hurricane Bolters. It's going to make my life harder. That's fine. Space Marines need a little boost. They're not as dead in the gut as everyone says, but they could do with the boost. And it also affects Death Watch. Basically, you can't use Bolt Discipline with special issue ammunition. That's it. Fine. It does, and they're saying it does not make all bolters good. Just basically doesn't affect space since the battle doesn't affect custodies. Fine. Prepared positions. The prepared position match play was introduced in Autumn 2018. Based on feedback, we have made one minor difference to this rule to exclude aircraft and fortifications. Aircraft units are clearly soaring in the skies and not dug in, whilst fortifications, being on the whole static emplacements, can't get any more digging than they already are. Well, no one's using static fortifications, so fine. Aircraft makes sense though. Tactical restraint. The tactical restraint match play was introduced back in blah blah blah. Based on feedback, we've clarified that command points gained via psychic powers are included. And one small change to exclude command points that are spent on stratagems that are used before the battle has begun from being refunded at all. This is now the final form of this. There's several warlord traits relics. Each player can only gain one command point per battle round. And command points that are spent on stratagems that are not using battle rounds, such as those that are used before the battle, can never be refunded. Okay, well, that's a fucking... I'm not even mad. That's the Loyal 32 down the shitter then, isn't it? The limit of gaining or refunding one command point per battle round does not apply to the Moment, Shackle, or the Sevenfold Chant abilities, or to the player of the Twilight Warlord trait. Right. Look, basically, does not apply to points that are refunded as specifically instructed on stratagems. Feeder tendrils. Agents of Vet. Okay. And I guess plan duration making. Okay. Fine. That is a big hit to the Loyal 32. It's a big hit to it. Tactical Reserves match play rules revised as an updated beta back in. This is now the final form. What have they changed? Instead of being set up on the battlefield during deployment, many units have the ability to set up on teleportarium, blah blah blah, in order to arrive on the battlefield mid-game reinforcements by setting up your army during deployment for a match play game, at least half a certain number of units in your army on the battlefield, and combine points value of all the units set up on the battlefield during deployment. I think it used to say parallel when it says points, okay. Including those that are backed in transports, cool, but at least half of your army set of points. Either unit army has the ability that will allow them, blah blah blah. Furthermore, in match play games, units that are not placed on the battlefield during deployment in order to arrive on the battlefield mid-game as reinforcements cannot arrive on the battlefield during the first battle round. Finally, a unit that has not arrived on the battlefield by the end of the battle round and match play can be destroyed. Okay, so what have they changed? For clarity, this match play rule does not apply to units that are set on the battlefield during deployment, but that use stratagems, abilities, psychic powers, etc. to be moved from the battlefield and set back up during blah 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 blah. I don't really see the huge change to that. I feel like I should see it, but I don't. It affects Space Marines, so I don't care. Alpha Legion, so I don't care. Adepts Mechanical, I don't care. Elders, I don't care. Probably something else. Swiss Shroud, Alice here sounds out as well. And Tyranids. Okay, well, okay. Fine, whatever. I'm sure there's something big there. If I'm missing something about the change, I haven't heard any pitter patter on the internet about it though. So if I'm missing something about tactical reserves, please let me know. Put it down in the comment section below. But I can't see anything that I was doing anyway that's changed. So there we go. Right, interim balance review. This is the bit that all you guys will probably hear for and already know about. It is possible through various warlord traits. This is Imperial Knight balances, and these are effective immediately. It is possible through various warlord traits and the rotate Iron Shield stratagem for Imperial or Renegade Knight to boost his vulnerable save throw to a 3+. Considering a Knight is already an exceptionally tough and resilient unit to face, we feel this is too much for most opponents to contend with. To that end, we are making a minor adjustment to rotate Iron Shield stratagem that limits the maximum saving throw afforded from a 3+ to a 4+. Justice! Yes! Absolutely 110% yes. There's not much more to be said about that. It also comes to attention that it is also possible in certain situations for the Death Grip stratagem to automatically destroy the enemy model it hits, as it is impossible for the enemy model to ever be able to break free. We feel this is a shame, and so you can break 3 on a 6-up. Fine. Imperial Knights, invulnerable save by 1 to a maximum 4+. Change the command point cost of rotate Iron Shields to 1/3 CP. Change the rules text to read. Use this stratagem when an enemy unit tags an Imperial vehicle from your army as invulnerable save. Until the end of the phase, yeah, that's fine. Rotate Iron Shields, fine. Death Grip, get a 6, you get out of there, fine. Gene Stealer Cult Psychic Powers, very slight change. Mental Onslaught now, if your opponent rolls a 6, they just break free. I think that's kind of shit. I think it should just be done on a modified leadership, because the whole just breaking out a 6 thing for Mental Onslaught does mean that there's a good chance it just fails straight away. Yeah, to be fair, I've had mixed luck with Mental Onslaught, so it's not a huge problem. Imperial Assassin's stratagem. Yeah, this is a couple of okay. Yeah, Imperial Assassins. This is interesting. They've received lots of feedback. Blah blah blah. Okay, so now Cypher can't give you access to Imperial Assassins, just to say. That's one thing to remember. And also, I think let's read it. You can only use stratagem if your warlord has the Imperial faction keyword, excluding Fallen. And your army does not contain any Officio Assassinorum units. Use stratagem during deployment. Add 1 Officioso Assassinorum unit of your choice to your army. Remember that in a match play game, you must pay reinforcement points for the new unit added to your army. So basically, guys, you can only take the execution force or use the operative requisition sanctioned stratagem. You can't use both. Fair enough? Very good. Orc mob-up stratagems, basically, Looter Bomb is been taken around the back of the shed and had its brains blown out. You can only use mob-up on Orc Boys units. Fair enough. Craftwheel Psychic Powers. Long story short, go fuck yourself, Elder. Fuck you. It's finally written right. Elder Psychic Powers now only affect Elder units. So, conceal, reveal. There you go. Basically, what was happening was in some games, somehow, someone was using Elder to doom, like, an enemy unit, and then allied Imperial Guard or something would blast it and get to reroll all the wounds against it, which is wrong. Can't do that now. So, Doom only affects friendly Eldar units. So does Doom. So does Protect. So does Conceal Reveal. There you go. Points values for Night Castellan. Basically, guys, Imperial Knights went up by 100 points because the Plasma Decimator now costs 40 points per weapon, and so does the Volcano Lance. So Castellans now are 100 points more and can only get a 4+ invulnerable save from Rotate Iron Shields. Good guy, Games Workshop. So overall, I don't think there's any major glaring mistakes made in this FAQ. I think mostly it's fine. There's only a few niggles, like I'm a bit disappointed that Exploding Rhinos has been removed. I don't even use it, but it was still cool, and it gave armies like Berserkers a goddamn chance. But fine. The Knight nerf's great. The Elder nerf's great. They needed it. To fair, the Elder nerf's not that bad. The Ynnari nerfs, which are coming next month, guys, are, for those who don't know, Ynnari Soul Burst is just getting gutted, so you won't see much Ynnari on the top tables anymore. I'd be surprised anyway. But there you go. If for those of you who want to know what it is, from the top of my head, you get +1 to hit in the fight phase. When anything dies in the battlefield, if you charge, you get +1 to hit. I think that's pretty much it. And you get if you charge. Yeah, if you charge it and you get +1, you get +1 to hit essentially. So you always fight first and you get +1 to hit. So there you go. Only in charges, only in combat, not in shooting. Got +1 to hit University for shooting, that'd be insane. So you guys, let's have a look at the main rulebook FAQ. I think, to be honest, we've already covered most of it. Let's just take a look. They've added in the no path model can be over the edge of the battlefield. They've added in the fly. They've added in the aircraft rule. They've added in the embark rule. If all models in a unit end their move within 3 inches of a friendly transport the movement phase, they can embark within it. Units can't declare charge. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Designer's commentary. Can a model take the same war gear options more than once? For example, can a Space Marine Terminator replace a Storm Bolter with a Cyclone Missile Launcher and another Storm Bolter, and then replace its new Storm Bolter with a Heavy Flamer? No, each bullet pointed war gear option on a unit stage sheet can only be used once each time you include that unit in your army. Fine. Then that was people were trying to really do that, but does the pluralization of a keyword make any difference to which units the rule applies to? Terminator versus Terminators? No. What a fucking idiot. Like, God, you can imagine some rules lawyers, right? In a match play game, does a unit champion cost anything? No. Well, no, it never would. Oh, God. Wholly within. So, basically, they're trying to say what's the difference between wholly within and within. There is now a difference between wholly within and within. Fine. For example, units gain the benefit of cover if every model in the unit is either on or within terrain. So long as all the models in that unit are either on or partially within the terrain, they gain the benefit of cover. So just to confirm, guys, it's quite a big one. Basically, terrain cover syndrome is back. So as long as you've got everyone with a terrain cover, you're fine. Coherency, interesting. You either move to get back in coherency or you stay still. That is interesting for heavy weapon teams, potentially. If unit cannot make any sort of move, can it, including pile-in and consolidation moves, and end that move in unit coherency, can it make that move? No. Okay. I think I'm missing something. If a unit cannot make any sort of move, including pile-in and consolidation moves. Okay. If all his attacks always hit a specific roll. So basically, Dark Reaper and Vindicate Assassins always hit on the set roll. They never ever get. The model's ability takes precedence. Fine. If a strategy instructs you to select a unit from your army at the start of the turn, can I choose one that is not yet on the battlefield? No, obviously not. Happens to the end, dick. What rules apply to units that we've already gone through that. When a rule allows model or unit to take an action outside their normal turn sequence, and that rule explicitly mentions to make action if it were a different phase of the turn structure to the current one, that unit can shoot as if it were the shooting phase. Do rules that normally used during that phase take effect isn't the same true of Overwatch attacks. Essentially, guys, how this affects Imperial Guard is, does the Cajun rule affect Overwatch? Let's see if what the answer is. With the exception of stratagems, all rules that would apply in a specific phase to actions that are taking place if it were the phase. Okay, with the exception of stratagem, all rules that would apply in a specific phase also... that would apply in a specific phase apply to actions that are taking place as if it were that phase. Where if a stratagem specifies that it must be used in a specific phase, then it can only be used in that phase. The purpose of FAQ, overall attacks are considered to be attacks made as if it was your shooting phase. So to me, and correct me if I am wrong, I now believe the Cadian rule affects you in Overwatch now. I don't have my... Let's just double check the wording on it, but I'm pretty sure... Correct me if I'm wrong, I believe the Cadian rule now affects Overwatch. Are you able to advance or fall back in a different phase when moving as if it were the movement phase through an ability? Unless otherwise stated, yes. Okay. Are you able to advance or fall back in a different phase? Yeah, okay. So, basically, what's the general rule of thumb is, if you have an ability that says, as if it were the shooting phase, then you get all the... Then you basically count as being in the shooting phase. Okay. You know, all the buffs that you would normally get, did you stay still? Yes. Okay, fine. Reroll your ones. Pardon me. When using a ability strategy from the fight again in the fight phase, if it were the fight phase, are you able to ignore the rules for who's able to fight in the fight phase? For example, a unit is not within 1 inch of an enemy model and did not charge that turn when I used the stratagem. No, okay, so you can't use the fight again thing to fight even if you didn't charge. No, obviously not. When using ability, states... Okay, if a rule states that a unit fails its morale test in a certain role, but that unit is affected by another rule that says it automatically passes morale test, which rule takes precedent? You automatically pass morale test, rule takes precedent. That would be great if we still had normal commissars, but we don't, so fuck you, Games Workshop. But at least it's good for Genes to the Cult with the Patriarch rule. If a rule states that a number of additional models flee unit when it fails morale test, but that unit is affected by another rule that says no models flee from that unit, which rule takes precedence? Rules that say no models take precedence. How do we resolve consecutive use of stratagems that cancel other stratagems? Yeah, so basically you can vect and then generation in the making and then vect. Okay, that's fine. That doesn't affect guard players. Cult players, it basically means, guys, someone can vect your plans a generation in the making, even if you use your stratagem to stop their vect, because they can play Agents of Vect twice, whereas we can only do it once. So there you go. Guard players, don't worry about it. Cult players, that's one to be aware of, but I doubt it'll come up. I doubt someone's going to spend like 8 command points. It can't be that important. If a unit is added to my army during the battle that has any keywords that are in angular brackets, when do I choose what those keywords are? So when it's deployed, you get. So basically, if I deploy a unit of neophytes, I say I want these, from telepathic summons, that I want those units to have. Then I want those neophytes to have the Hive Cult special rule. That means I can then benefit from a Hive Cult Warlord trait, a Hive Cult Chilling Efficiency stratagem, or a Hive Cult Jackal Alphas. However, the next one's very interesting. If units are added to my Battleforge army during the battle, is it ever considered to be part of the detachment? No. So the distinction here is for your Gene Stealer Cult player, for example, you add in 20 neophytes. If you're within range of a Hive Lord Warlord, those 20 neophytes from telepathic summons can reroll ones. If you use Chilling Efficiency, they can benefit from the +1, and if you use the Jackal Alphas, they can benefit from his +1 to hit. However, when it is time for that unit to fall back, it can't fall back and shoot, even though it's Hive Cult, because it's not part of a detachment, so it doesn't get the benefit. And you also would take full morale problems. So that's the way to look at it from a Gene Stealer Cult point of view. Can a unit that was in 1 inch of an enemy and entirely within 3 inches of a friendly transport embark into that transport without having to move, for example, because they cannot fly and have to move through models? No. Okay, fine. Some abilities that cause extra hits or wounds on a specific roll, each hit of a 6 scores 2 hits instead of 1, and each hit roll of 6 scores 1 to hit the target. Are these abilities cumulative? No, essentially, as it depends. It depends on the exact wording of the rule in question. Rules that score 2 or more hits instead of 1 are not cumulative. Rules that score 1 or more additional hits are cumulative. Here are some examples. Okay. 2 hits instead of 1. Okay, I'm not bothered about that. I don't know how big that is. If a model is affected by 2 different rules, one that says that on a hit roll of a 6 scores 2 hits instead of 1, and one that says that on a roll of a 6 that attack scores 1 additional hit against target, then a roll of 6 will result in 3 hits being scored. Very, very nice. If the Search and Destroy or Vanguard Strike deployment map is determined, must the deployment zones be located in the exact corner specified on the deployment map? Yes! Ha! I was right! Sorry, that came up for the tournament. Cool, so basically you have to go off the map. It's not, oh, I'll pick this corner, you have whatever. No, it has to be as it is on the map. If the unit has an ability that allows it to attempt to deny the witch as if it were a psyker, is it treated as a psyker? No, it's never treated as a psyker. Don't be stupid. If my opponent warlord was slain during the battle but has an ability stratagem that has allowed it to be set back up again during the battle, do I score the victory point for Slay the Warlord? No, you only get Slay the Warlord if the Warlord is gone, dead, pooped, gone. And that's pretty much it, guys, for today's video. So a bit of a long one, 40 minutes. We've gone through everything there. I know it was a bit of a first impressions kind of thing, but essentially the thing to take away from this is there are no major nerfs to Genestealer Cult. There are no major nerfs to Guard. There are a few small changes. Heavy weapon teams, for example, being a bit of a change to Guard. But that's pretty much, I think we're okay. I think both those armies got through relatively unscathed. Mental Onslaught was always going to receive some sort of nerf. But there you go. I'm sure, and I'm going to think this might be in the Genestealer Cult one. I'm sure now you can't. It's very difficult to get a turn 1 charge with the Genestealer Cult Codex, but we'll get to that when I do the Genestealer Cult FAQ review. So, guys, if there's anything that I've missed, please put it down in the comments below. I am a humble guardsman. I do my best for the Emperor, but I don't get everything right. Anything I've missed, put down in the comments below, and then when someone hopefully listens to this video, if there's anything I've missed, they can check the comments to get the full pictures. Really appreciate all your guys' help on doing that. So thank you for listening, guys. Tell me what you think, and of course, as always, I'll see you guys next time.